Hello guys, welcome to this tutorial. In this tutorial, we are going to talk about a database. What is a database? You can hear it in Oracle or SQL Server or Mysql. Anywhere you go, you hear a term called database. So what is a database? A database is a collection of information which are stored as tables that it can be easily managed, updated, and accessed. So database can have many number of tables. And what are these tables? These tables are nothing but it's more like a spreadsheet where the data is stored as rows and columns. So nowadays the database it's more of a relational. They create so many tables and they build a relation within these tables, and that's what is called as relational database management system. Nowadays RDBMS is used to store and manage huge volume of data. So let's see an example of what is a table. What could be a table? For example, if you have a company, we can create a separate table to store the employee information like employee first name, last name, is age, is sex, and is parent's name. And then we can have another table which which can store the employee address information like the city, state, and zip code and the street address. So these two can be a table, and apart from that we can have one more table called employee salary, which will hold the salary information of an employee. So we have three distinct entity here. One is the employee information, one is the employee address, and then we have the employee salary. So now let's go and see how the data looks like in the table or how it is stored. Okay, so in this slide you are seeing a simple table which holds the employee information. We are storing a first name, and then we are storing the last name and the age of the employee. So each of these are called rows where you see 1, 2, and 3. So we have 3 rows and we have 4 columns in this table. The column 1 is ID, the first name, last name, and age. So also we can store this information according to our need. For example, we can store age as an integer or a number and store the first name as characters. So this is what we store in the employee table. Instead of information, we can just make it as employee table. And then we have the employee address table. So in this table, what we are doing is we are storing the employee ID, we are storing the state where he lives, and the city and the zip code. So you can see that the employee 1, John Abraham, he has two addresses. One he lives in Maryland and other one he lives in California. So this is what we call it as relational database. These two tables are related to each other. When you want to get the information about John's address, you go to this table and then you pick up John. With John's information, you are going to pick up his address using this ID, which is called the primary key. We are going to talk about the primary key shortly. And the next we can have a similar table for holding the employee salary. So now let's talk about the primary keys. So what is a primary key? A primary key uniquely identifies a row in a table. It should be unique for each rows and it should not contain a null value. Okay, let me give a couple of valid examples. What is a primary key? If you live in US, you are going to have something unique called social security number, and that is unique for each and every person who lives in US. And similarly, if you have a bank account, your ID is very unique and it identifies your name and all the information. Similarly, here in the employee table, we call ID as the primary key because we are going to identify John Abraham using this ID 1. We are going to identify Peter Scott using 2 and Ramesh Gandhi using 3. The reason we need this ID is what happens if you have a person called Ramesh Gandhi. What happens when you have one more person called Ramesh Gandhi? If we can't just identify with his first name and last name, just because we will have two person. So that's why we need something called a primary key to identify each row in a table. And then now we come next is the foreign key. So what is a foreign key? A foreign key is a field in one table that uniquely identifies a row of another table. So what does this statement mean? So let's go to this example. In this example, we have a person called John Abraham and his ID is 1. And when you want to relate him to a foreign table, here the foreign table is called the employee address table. So how do you relate John Abraham with this foreign table? So this is what you call it as a foreign key. The employee ID in the address table is called the foreign key, and that information is used to identify John Abraham in the employee table. And John Abraham has two addresses, one in Maryland and another in California. So that is what you call it as foreign key. I hope this tutorial is much clear, and it will be very easy once we start building tables and writing queries. Thanks for watching my video, and you can watch my other videos. Thank you.